that you need to cover. This is a serious problem. And we said to the prosecutors, these are serious crimes that you ought to investigate. And we laid out for them, not only in our complaint, but as our evidence came in, all of the evidence of those crimes, all of the evidence of the continuing sex trafficking that was going on. And nobody was interested. Not the prosecutors, not the media. Nobody paid any attention to it. We fought this case for 5 years, and almost nobody paid any attention. The first time that we got serious attention from the press was beginning in February of 2018. I sat down with Julie Brown from the Miami Herald, and she took this case on and researched it thoroughly for almost a year. The only other publication that really began to dig into it prior to Epstein's arrest was the Daily Beast. But what people like to think of as the mainstream media.
What was their response when you submitted it to them? After all, you're a very well-known, very prominent lawyer. When you come with something, it's not, it's worth paying attention to.
Yeah, I would have thought so. And indeed, a lot of relatively routine cases that I do get publicity just because I'm doing them.
Exactly.
But this was an important case. We'd filed this case here in New York, the media capital of the world. We'd laid out this horrific sex trafficking operation in our complaint. And then we filed a second complaint on behalf of a young woman by the name of Sarah Ransom. And in this one, we sued not only Maxwell, but we sued Epstein, we sued Sarah Kellen. And again, we laid out.
Who's Sarah Kellen?
She was another person who procured girls for Epstein. And
Silencio. Nothing.
nothing. No, nobody seemed to care.
Nobody said, did they not even call and say, oh, we're passing on this for XYZ reason? Did anybody ever give
No, we never got an explanation. We never got an explanation.
Wow.
The only explanation I ever got was I got an explanation from Alan Dershowitz. and he told me that when he was trying to convince us that we ought to try to settle with him and get him out, he was telling us how powerful and important he was. And he was saying he had killed the ABC story by threatening them. And that's the only explanation that I've ever had for the press not covering this story.
Interesting.
But it was an enormous frustration.
What does this say to you?
Well, it just says to us that every institution that was supposed to protect these girls failed them. Lawyers failed them, prosecutors failed them, the media failed them. And when you are a young, vulnerable, disadvantaged girl or boy, the deck is stacked against you. And I think the media really is elitist. I think I had one reporter refer to my clients as street girls. And they couldn't identify with these victims. They didn't think of them as their daughters.
Who told them they were street girls?
What?
Who told them they were street girls?
No, I mean, I said a reporter referred.
No, I know, but why does the reporter say there? I really think that that's something that was conveyed by someone to that reporter, because even I agree with the elitist thing, you don't just call a poor person a street person, and a street person implies that you're like a street walker, within the context of the Epstein thing. So,
Well, of course, remember that was what Epstein's defense was, and that was one of the things that Alan Dershowitz and other people were selling. These are prostitutes.